Good morning, everyone. This is Dan Star Saber once again. I'm going to do a quick little playthrough of the Places of Power event. Now, Places of Power event is something that shows up periodically. Very good rewards, especially in all the Challenge 1, Challenge 2 tiers. Something you should definitely take advantage of. But I understand for some people the Challenge tiers 1 and 2 might seem a little out of reach. As you can tell with Challenge Tier 1, I didn't find it that difficult, and I will show you the team composition of went to make that work and how it typically works. And I will say haven't changed any mods around on any of these characters. These are the things same ones I run for instance, your what's it called? Well, for your territory wars and your Grand Arena championships. So it's not like I'm going out of my way to super mod these characters, and most of them aren't drastically relic either. You do have Malik and Bastila Fallen both are Gear 13 with relics, but they're not relic 7 either. So it's and the modding is, like I said, it's just enough to get them by. It's not anything special. I didn't move any arena mods around. Now, the reason this team works is, yes, Malik will take a lot of the punishment at first. He's designed to, and that's okay. Because what will happen is you got Palpatine here as the leadership, Bastila keeping alive, and you have a never-ending turn meter train that happens once these debuffs start flying. So they may take some shots at Malik, but he can take it, and then you can start taking over and delivering it back. And these rounds will go very quickly. You'll have debuffs flying up like nuts, and you'll have them dispelled that much quicker, and you can just burn through these levels very quickly. Not too much of a challenge when you have these many debuffs going off at a Palpatine lead. So I'm just going to show you how this works. It's really not that complicated. I don't have to be too selective, although in most cases you want to target the character that's in the leadership slot first. That's just more of a preservation type of method, and that just because once they're gone, especially if they have that extra buff attached to them, that will mean anything else you do to the team tends to the rest of the team is weakened as a result of him losing that. In this case, it's just a regular mob. It's not a full-sized opponent, so you don't really have to worry about that as much. But I'll just in practice, I'm just going to keep burning on the one that's in the lead, and then just work my way around the battlefield. You always want to take out the Sentinels when they're there. Most of the time, they're a fairly dangerous opponent. Because they do an AoE that can hurt a lot more than Malik. Tends not to be game breaking even in this level challenge tier, but still, it's just something you want to keep aware of. Also, if you can put a shock up on them, it does help prevent a lot of that stealth they get, but it doesn't land every single time. One of the nuances of these challenge tiers is, on many occasions at least, there's pretty high tenacity, so some of your debuffs just don't land. But in the grand scheme of things, if you got decent mods on your characters, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. And again, kill the leader first. Use whatever means are available. After that, it makes all the rest of them more at risk. You can burn off the more dangerous mobs, the annihilates that happen very frequently because you're always you're always draining debuffs. And once you have control of the battlefield, there's really not much resistance they offer, even on the more difficult levels. They're usually tiers 4 and 8. So you just have to keep working your way through. Turn meter train will save you pretty much through everything. One debuff goes away, one of your team members will go. It'll just work its way through. You won't have many problems. You might lose a little battlefield dominance at the beginning of a stage, but after they take their initial runs, if they get them, it'll go pretty quickly around the room. And then you can just keep popping debuffs up here and just keep working your way through them. Not much of a threat. They'll just keep beating sent themselves senselessly on Malik most of the time, because there's a lot of shocks uh, in this team lineup. There's very little instances between the shock and the fear. You'll have Malik have a lot of uptime on his taunt. Shouldn't be much of a concern for very long, at least. You can just keep working your way around it. If you have a dangerous target, take it out. You'll get plenty of annihilates, as you can see him almost every other time he gets a turn. Nihilus is almost always ready to annihilate once again. That's just the nuances of this team. There's just so many debuffs out there. There's very little they can do to stop it. You can just keep plugging away. You'll get through it eventually. And they won't hardly get a turn in edgewise. That's the beauty of this team. And by the end of it, you have some pretty tanky characters too. Vader's kind of tanky if you have all his Zetas. He'll be regenerating health very quickly. Nihilus is getting naturally tanky through his Zeta. There's really not a lot to worry about with this team unless you just have some really bad RNG that plays out here. This is probably the most dangerous part right here, and that's just if your turn meter train is really badly off. But as you can see in this case, it wasn't really much of an issue. Make sure to pop off on Anakin quickly. He's your most dangerous threat right now. Yeah, go ahead and annihilate even though he doesn't have much health left. Because then you have all the debuffs on the other characters, and that gives him zero chance to be a genuine threat to your team. And you'll just keep working through it. It's not too difficult. I made a mistake there. I should have burned Ahsoka's debuff, but I'm not too concerned. Even mistakes like that, this is a pretty forgiving lineup for the most part. You might have at risk if they start to target Palpatine or something like that. That can be a pretty big threat to you. But it's all in all, it really takes a big screw up to let this team go to Pop. And I don't intend to. He'll gain most of his health and some of his protection back, and we'll be back up to snuff pretty quickly. And just keep working your way through. You can see it's just clearing more and more of these guys. These debuffs keep stacking. And because of the Palpatine lead, you'll keep going and going. And there will be very little downtime for your team. Just keep working your way through it. When you get to one enemy left, just do a lot of basics here. You don't want to waste some of your good abilities when you're very little threat left. And work your way to the next phase. Okay, now we got Amagandai. He sure is. They'll get their initial run, but it'll be more or less a Malik beating. Who can take it? Throw out your mass shock. Turn meter trains rolling, and it's left the station and on its way to your destination. And it's almost with this team, you'll notice that you get a lot. You're at its most dangerous when most of the opponents are there. Once there's fewer opponents on the field and it's less dangerous to you, you won't go as quickly, but you'll go quickly enough and it won't be much of an issue. Excuse me. Keep on burning through it. You'll have plenty of turn advantages here, and there's only a little bit of damage the team that's not Malik takes, and Malik can take the damage for the most part. So it's very little threatening involved here. And the fact that you don't have a lot of recovery, it's only so necessary for this. Because once you get the team meter running, they recover quickly enough to take whatever happens to get by them. So you can, Vader got pretty close there, but you can see he recovered it right as rain. Just keep working your way through it. Use those annihilates to take out the lead character every chance you get. Then you just keep the thing going. Try to kill single targets, especially the ones that do a lot of area of effect damage. Those are the biggest threats to you because they have the most chance of taking out a member of your team by area of effect damage. But other than that, there's really not too big of concerns. Keep recharging that Annihilate every chance you get it. Burn Vader's Saber Throw every chance it goes up, because that'll just set your turn meter train on fire. Just keep working that single target there. Just get to that one target or close to it. You just keep start working with basics because his threat level is very diminished, and you want to save up those special attacks for early into the next round. So, good to go there. We got the fear up. That'll put Malak in play. You can go ahead and pop the debuff train as far as it'll go. Get yourself prepped for another good Annihilate. Probably not needed for now, but we'll save it for one of the Sentinels probably. Those tend to be fairly significant threats when they're up. And I'm not going to get one. I'm just going to go ahead and knock out Plo Koon just to have him out of the way. Try to get a shock up on the Sentinel. Got it. So we can start focusing him down. Gotta put him into stealth, but that's okay because we got some other abilities coming out here to keep them contained. And you can see the shocks start to take their toll as well. They just can't handle the lightning onslaught from this team. It just doesn't, there's just no way to avoid it in this case. And we're going to save that because that'll come in handy later on. Now, get the last team. You want to try to get the shock up on Kenobi. It doesn't always work. When it does, it's always a good thing, as you can see. That'll keep him from taunting, and you can make your next Annihilate hit Yoda. See, that was probably the worst possible outcome for this, and they didn't really do that much to us, as you can see in this instance. Let me see. We'll try to put a shock up on Yoda. Good. Try to get some more shocks in the field. Okay, Kenobi burned off that, but we can clear that with the Nihilist there. Obviously, you want to try to hold on to your shocks on Kenobi, so that's one time you do not want to use a saber throw on Kenobi. That's okay. Shock doesn't go up on Kenobi. They took out Palpatine. Again, it's not perfect, but I'm not too concerned at this point because all I really need to do is to get through this team is to take out Yoda. As long as they keep smacking Nihilus, that's really not too much of a threat. Malak, that is. Might lose Bastila here. That's okay if it does. Try to put up another shock. Didn't quite work. But we can drain this out of Kenobi. They'll keep smacking Malak for the most part, hopefully. Nihilus has gotten pretty tanky now from all the other Devos. Start working on another character because Yoda's getting that Annihilate as soon as it comes up, assuming he doesn't get stunned again. Didn't. So now we take Yoda off the field. Again, that was probably the worst possible outcome for this phase. Now that we're here, I'm not really all that concerned. Yes, the stuns suck, but they'll go away soon enough. They're very tanky at this moment. That's the nice thing about these two characters. They get to be extremely tanky near the end. And they'll just keep pounding away. We'll get Nihilus tuned up for another Annihilate. Just keep working our way around here. Not as efficient as I would have preferred, but because these guys are as tanky as they are at this point, I'm also not real concerned about it because they can basically just drain away the opposition, and they can't just do enough damage to really even take out the remaining characters, fast as they may be. Go ahead and take out Eth Koth, take those stuns out of play, and make Qui-Gon's assist worth nothing. Work your way through it. Set it on auto at this point, doesn't really matter. He'll do his thing for a little bit, and I'll retaliate, and when the opportunity comes up, gotcha. So, as you can see, I didn't get a 3-star victory that time. That was a really, really bad RNG 5th round. Most of this battle was relatively easy, but if you got the right team and you got the right gear on them, Challenge Tier 2 isn't drastically that big of a challenge, as you can see. The two characters that really matter, Malak and Nihilus, can weather most of the storm as long as the rest of the team lasts up to that point. You really don't have a lot to worry about. So, any questions, feel free to ask them in game chat or in line chat, and we'll try to address them accordingly. But that's all I have for this video. This is Star Saber signing out.